eu sou Katiuscia Sotomayor e este é o Agro América, programa em parceria com o Instituto Interamericano de Cooperação para a Agricultura, o IICA, aqui no AgroMais, seu canal voltado para o agronegócio 24 horas. A proposta é mostrar iniciativas inovadoras e compartilhar boas práticas dos 34 Estados-membros, que podem ser replicadas em todo o mundo na busca pelo desenvolvimento agrícola e pelo bem-estar rural. A conversa é com Parmanand Sewdien, ministro da Agricultura no país, que fala com a gente diretamente de Paramaribo. Welcome, Minister. Thank you very much for your time.
Also, thank you very much for the invitation to be part of your program. Thank you.
First of all, let's talk a little bit about the reality of agribusiness in Suriname. It's a really diverse country, right? How does this factor influence the sector?
Well, our country, just like in Brazil, and we have several ethnic groups from all over the world. So it is like a small United Nation. And everybody from their country, they came with their own habits and all their culture, their language. So it is indeed quite diverse, but still since our independence in 1975, we are growing more together, and in the same situation, we can look at the relation with Brazil, and we have a very good cooperation and a relation with Brazil also. So looking at the future, I think after maybe 20 years, 30 years, either you would be speaking Dutch to me, or I would be speaking in Brazilian, at least Portuguese to you. So everybody is growing together, and that sounds very good to me. Thank you.
Let's hope we learn Dutch. It's a really difficult language, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about rice. That is one of the main crops of the country, but the farming community has been hit over the years by heavy rains and major floods that destroy annual agricultural production. What can we share about genetic improvement of Suriname rice, including upland rice?
Well, yeah, indeed, if we talk about rice, then we are talking about the upland rice, as we call it here, the dryland rice, and the wetland rice that we are growing in the more lower areas along the coast of Suriname. And in both cases, we have, let's say, in the past we didn't have any progress on the genetics of these varieties. So about a few years ago, we had indeed an experiment going on with the help of Brazil in the interior of Suriname, where we tried some new varieties of the upland rice. And over there, we saw a lot of improvement. At least the yields that we were getting, it has been doubled right now. So we are right now preparing a program to see how to move forward and have a better cooperation with Brazil to get better yields than what we have right now. And the same we can say also about the lowland rice and the varieties that we have there. They have been deteriorated in the past years, past 5 to 10 years. And over there also we are looking for some cooperation programs. And I think Brazil is a country that can help us in that process. So at looking at both types of rice, I'm just looking right now at Brazil. And the lucky part is that what I've understood from my president is that by end of this year, your president, Mr. Bolsonaro, is coming to Suriname, and we hope to sign an agreement on the cooperation program in the field of agriculture. So we have a lot of issues that we put on paper already. So it is ready to sign. So let me hope that by end of this year, we can move forward.
That's perfect. So in this agreement, one of the ideas is to achieve a more sustainable production, including the rice production, right?
Indeed. And it is also for the other subsectors besides the rice.
Now, talking about the question of the flooding crisis like this, that also brings the whole question of food security. Is that a big concern, dealing with the water, the situation with the flooding? And how can we say is the food security nowadays in Suriname?
Well, rice is our staple crop. The majority of our people, they are consuming rice. And the lucky part was that the floods came by the end of the harvest season. So we only had about less than 1,000 hectares to harvest. Otherwise, all the harvest was already in. So that was the lucky part of it. On the other hand, if you look at the fruit and vegetable side, there was a lot of flooding in that area also. So by that, at this moment, the price of especially vegetable, gone up quite high. But looking at the food security side, lucky part is that we can manage it till now. And I hope that from now on, it will go better and better, that we'll not meet any other problem on short term.
You also have an extensive fruit crop production, right? How is it working there?
Well, the history is, I think maybe it came from the colonial period with the Dutch over here in Suriname. The total agriculture, the concentration of the agricultural sector is along the coast side, the lower area, and where we are working with polder systems. But if you are not keen enough to maintain all the infrastructure, you might get problem. And that's also what happened with the floods that we had in the last month. But we have huge amount of land, more higher up in the interior, and where at this moment we are obliged to move in that direction, because if you look at the climate change, where you have more intrusion of salt water coming in, higher rainfalls in a shorter period. If you look at the dry seasons, that might be longer than normal. So the climate is changing. So we have to adapt ourselves to the new situation. So we have to move more inland. And over there we are dealing with another soil types and the microclimates. But in our case, we are lucky that we have a neighbor like Brazil who has the knowledge to deal with these circumstances. So Brazil has the experience with the other soil types that we have there, even the microclimate. So that we have also on our list for cooperation when your president will be here. And what we have seen till now is that if you look at the lower areas along the coast side, you will see that to explore the area, it is quite expensive also, with all of whole system of canals and ditches and to manage the water. But if you move more to the inland, you are in a better situation. At least you will not have to deal with floods. And but on the other hand, you have to look for possibilities how to irrigate your crop during the dry season. But this might be more and easier and maybe more cheaper than the situation in which we are right now.
We're going to talk a little bit more about climate change, but before I'd like to ask about the cattle production, the beef production. What are the specifics on this sector in your country?
Well, at this moment, if you look at the situation, and we are dealing with the situation where our herd of the cows is getting smaller and smaller. If you look at both sides, the beef production and the milk production, because we are slaughtering in, which means that our herd is getting smaller and smaller. I have prepared a law that has passed the Board of Ministers already, and I sent it to the Parliament, our national Parliament, to approve it. And in that law, we have put that we want to forbid the slaughtering of the female and the young cows. And otherwise, the cattle will not grow. The herd will not grow. And meanwhile, we will try to import some cattle, and we are again looking at Brazil and for the expansion of our herd. On the other side, to see how to manage the period in which we will not slaughter the female cows and the younger ones. And also for breeding purposes, we want to import. At this moment, our people, our experts are looking at the total situation from which part of Brazil, and it will be able for us, it will be possible for us to import this genetic material, because what I have understood is that not from all parts of Brazil you can do that because of the diseases that we have there, that we are dealing with. But anyhow, on short term, we will notice some progress in this matter. And we have land available already to expand the herd. And over there, we also are looking for some expertise from Brazil.
Now, Minister, American countries have agreed to act together at the UN Food Systems Summit to ensure that farmers are represented at the Global Forum and that their key role in the food supply is recognized, prioritizing agricultural activity as part of the solution to the challenges facing the world. The summit is seeking to establish commitments that will transform food systems, highlighting the indispensable importance of agriculture. How can our countries contribute towards the strategies for more sustainable food systems, for example?
Well, in this case, we have a very close relation with the Federation of the farmers in Suriname. And the funniest part is that before I became a minister last year in July, I was the president of that organization. So then you could imagine that we have a good relation with the farmers itself. And I think tomorrow will be the start of the meeting of FAO in Rome. We will be part of it. And there will be also a representation from the farmers during that meeting also. So over there, you could see that we are moving hand in hand together to get the sector developed in the next future. That's the luckiest part that I am from the sector.
And you mentioned a little bit about the current situation of food security in your country. We know that the pandemic has affected the agricultural sector and rural communities and has demonstrated that the countries need to work hard to lower the food import bill and grow and utilize more of what is produced locally. More than that, you face floodings, we mentioned, that of course affects the productivity. What are the efforts to bolster food and nutrition security in Suriname?
Well, at this moment, about 2 weeks ago, the rainy season ended. So right now we are moving in the dry season, and the farmers they are very keen on the situation that they already started to deal with new plantations, to plant the crops. So within a few weeks from now, we will have sufficient vegetables available on the market. As I mentioned before, our staple food, the rice, we have enough in stock, and we have to look at the part of the meats and from chicken and beef, but from that side it's quite okay. Looking at the general situation of the food security, pandemic had some influence on the production, but not really the production, but the marketing of the product. The farmers, they were producing the crops, but on the market side, and we were limited through all kind of measures taken by the government, that people had to stay home, they couldn't go to the markets were closed. So over there we gave the farmers the opportunity to sell their crops or their harvest alongside the roads where they're living. They got special permission for that, and people driving with their cars and went to those spots to buy their food. So it didn't affect that much on the food security, but looking at the bigger picture now, only 1/3 of our national needs of the food that we are using locally, only 1/3 we are supplying from our own production, and 2/3 is being imported. And right now we have developed a policy to see how to go from 2/3 of import to 1/3, and that is quite a lot. So we are developing programs right now to encourage people to consume more local produced crops than to import. And over there we will also play with the import duties and take some other measures. And we will try the local produce to process it in such a way that it will be easier for the consumers to, when just before cooking, to handle it, to cut it in pieces or whatever. Maybe we have to prepare pan-ready food for them, sell it in the supermarkets, that will make the consumer easier to choose for the local product than the imported ones. So we have a lot of programs going on right now that we have developed, and we till now we are quite successful. But in this process, again, because Brazil is next door to Suriname, we know that Brazil has a lot to offer to our agricultural sector, and then I'm looking at the processing part of our crops. All you have a lot of machines developed, especially for the small farmers, and I'm looking at especially at the crop of cassava. Cassava is well developed in Brazil. You have very good varieties over there. At this moment, with the help of IICA and the FAO, we did import some planting material that we are multiplying right now to deliver to the farmers. So that is going on, but on the processing part, I will encourage our farmers and processors and other businessmen to visit after this pandemic, to visit all the trade fairs on agriculture in Brazil, because we know that all you have a lot of machines to offer, especially for these smaller processors and the smaller farmers. So that is the whole range of arrangements that we are preparing right now. And because of this, maybe we will see each other very soon in Brazil. So let me hope to deepen the relation that we have over here. And to be honest, I told you earlier, 15% of our population is from Brazil, and it is surprising me at this moment how many young people are learning the language of Brazil. Maybe this will make it easier for us and for the communications in the future. Thank you.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Brazil, but now I'd like to know about the existing working relationship with IICA. You mentioned this partnership. What are the ongoing actions with IICA more than the ones you already mentioned?
Well, with IICA, we have a lot of programs going on. IICA is helping us a lot in the area of research, and also with executing of a lot of infrastructure projects. And we have a project financed by the IDB on upgrading the infrastructure for the rice sector. And IICA is part of it because they are the executing body. On the other hand, we have a few laboratories in construction that we have to set up because we want to meet all the requirements for the export, and IICA is helping us with that part also to get expertise from outside, and IICA is encouraging us also a lot to look more to our southern boundary to Brazil, but also to the other countries from Latin America. And they are playing a big role in that. And we have maybe on a daily base, we have contact with each other, and they are training our people also in a lot of areas. They're very, very, very helpful to us.
Now let's talk about the current agricultural collaboration between Brazil and Suriname. We are, for example, a potential supplier of agricultural equipment, right? Like you already said so. So what are the expectations and the opportunities that we have together?
Well, we don't have we are not producing on a large scale till now. And rice is developed quite well on a large scale, but the other crops not. So all the crops that we mentioned earlier and the products, and with fruit and vegetable, the livestock, poultry production. You in Brazil, all you have a very advanced situation over there. All you are producing your raw material. If you talk about the cattle and the poultry production, all you have your own raw material for the feed, which we don't have over here. And feed is a very, very, very important. Even if you talk about aquaculture, to grow your own fish, we don't have our own industry for the production of the raw material. Then we talk about maize, we talking about soya, other ingredients that we'll need. So and you have developed it very well. We want to develop it also in the next future. So we're looking at that. Our neighbor country Guyana already started a cooperation program with Brazil. We will follow very soon. Now the processing part, the primary production, there's one, but you need, if you want to enter the foreign market, you need to process your crop in such a way and have all the other like laboratory and other services in place. And we can learn about a lot from Brazil also, and we have programs going on right now. So when looking at the total and all the products, and then I think on short term, within 1 to 2 years from now, if we will evaluate, we'll see that a lot of things will be happened by that time. So we can move more forward. But Brazil will be very, very helpful in this. Last month, we got a new ambassador. The other one before him, and he left the country. But we developed a good relationship with him. And I think from here, we can make a good start.
And there is a sustainable agricultural productivity program, right? A project that aims to increase agricultural productivity in Suriname by investing in infrastructure, managing irrigation and drainage system, as well as improving the quality and availability of rural agricultural statistics. Would you elaborate a little bit about this?
Yes, this project was developed since 2016. It is only now that we started the execution. 1 month ago, when our president went to that area in the western part of our country, in IICA, and to give to start the project. And last week we did it on a technical base, so it started already. We have everything in place now to get. It started already, so it's going on, and it's a budget of 30 million American dollar that we're talking about from the IDB. So that's moving on, and in preparation, we have more projects right now to see how to improve the infrastructure in the other parts of the country, and in the case of, if you talk about the sustainable produce in the sector.
Thank you for your time, Minister for Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries of Suriname, Parmanand Sewdien. Maybe next time our interview we're going to speak Dutch.
Okay, you also, thank you very much. You're welcome.
No AgroAmérica de hoje, o assunto foi o desenvolvimento da agricultura e da pecuária por lá e a cooperação com o Brasil, além das questões que envolvem as mudanças climáticas e o setor. Você pode rever este programa e também outras entrevistas no nosso canal no YouTube. Aproveite para seguir a gente nas redes sociais, @AgroMaisTV. Continue com a programação do AgroMais, seu canal voltado para o agronegócio 24 horas. Obrigada pela companhia. A gente se vê.